everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi on this Friday afternoon, 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:15 p.m. London Time. This is Friday, March 2nd, 2018. Two major storms underway right now, one affecting the northern mid-Atlantic and the northeastern part of the United States, and actually this powerful nor'easter, its influence extends all the way south into the southeast in terms of the wind. The wind field has been very impressive. We have blizzard warnings up in some places. On the other side, we have Storm Emma impacting the United Kingdom and Ireland with record snows, the worst blizzards seen in that those parts since 1982, from what it has been described to be. So you know what? We're going to get right to it. I'm going to start with what's going on here in my neck of the woods. And we'll come back with another live stream, by the way, tonight, and update all this again. But I wanted to come on at least for a little bit at the moment for this afternoon. So we have this huge area of winter storm warnings, and we've actually had blizzard warnings that have been posted for northeastern Pennsylvania, the northeastern Pennsylvania counties, and then on up through the Catskills. Many areas there already have a foot of snow on the ground, visibilities near zero, and winds of 50 miles an hour or more. Winter storm warnings extend into the three northwestern New Jersey counties, on up through Orange County in the Hudson Valley, basically along and north of Route 84, although it does shift a bit further north from there, and areas in northwestern Connecticut and on up into western Vermont, also under winter storm warnings. For coastal areas, it's coastal flood warning. We've had flood warnings because of heavy rains. Coastal flood warning, the high tide flooding, tidal flooding at this morning's high tide was pretty impressive, and the next high tide is likely to be stronger. It varies from place to place, obviously, but every bit of moderate coastal flooding, and in some cases even some major coastal flooding taking place. And the actual low center with that incredibly tight pressure gradient, we're seeing gusts of every bit of 50 to 60 miles an hour being reported. Kennedy Airport reported a gust of 63. That's the highest I've seen so far, but we've seen a lot of gusts all the way down into the mid-Atlantic states, down in and around Chesapeake Bay, even inland areas across southern Pennsylvania. Saw a lot of gusts into the upper 40s and low 50s. So this is a very impressive storm indeed, and we've really outperformed in terms of snowfall. I put up, this was the map, or this was my forecast that I made yesterday, Thursday morning early, and I have to tell you, I had very little confidence in this, but it's actually working out quite well. The 1 to 3, much of the area that I have in 1 to 3 or less, most of those areas receiving slushy coatings, or perhaps a little bit more, and because of the intensity of the precip, when you lose the intensity, you wind up going over to a mix or just plain rain, plus temperatures are in the mid-30s. That was another thing, by the way, with all of this, was how badly some of the models, in terms of their temperature guidance, was off by as much as 10 degrees. You start to get to accumulating amounts as you go north and west of the blue line, and it's all elevation driven, of course. Lower elevations might have very little, but if you go up 300, 400, 500 feet or more, you start to get into some rather decent snowfalls of several inches or more, and in the northwestern counties of New Jersey getting hit much harder, where I had the 8 to 12 inch band, that's going to verify, and where I have the 12 to 18, that's going to verify as well. So I guess it was one of those things. I honestly had absolutely no confidence in what I did. So you know, it was it's turning out to be a fairly decent call. Here's the latest radar loop. And there's an image missing here from the Weather Service, probably some lost data, but we're seeing that sort of classic signature of a radar in a situation like this where you have a coastal low. And if you look closely, where you see this almost semicircular ring east of the New Jersey coast, that is where we have that's where we have the low center It's actually, stretched out east-west. We have one low center that's pinned back near the coast. That's creating the strong winds. There's a second low center out to the east-south of Nantucket that is on the point of occlusion where the cold front and the warm front meet. Eventually, this is all going to start sinking southeastward, which models do later today. I just saw, just a side comment here. The RPM and the ARW RPM actually did pretty good. Certainly did a lot better with the snow areas than some other models did. And by the way, the NAM model really takes the cake here as far as performance. The global models were awful with respect to their presentation. They held on to the primary low way too long. The secondary took over. They had a very poor view of the dynamics, the very strong upper air dynamics, and the that we're going to cool the column down in the atmosphere. It just did just a terrible job. But here's the NAM as of this is actually this is the last NAM run. So the first map, this pretty well picked it up for 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now you can see the low is supposed to drop southeastward from here and move out. So you know what? Why don't we go to the HRRR and see how it sees things? And it pretty much follows the same scenario here as the low continues. It makes that quick counterclockwise loop and then starts to drop southeastward. So seems to linger precipitation perhaps a little bit longer here on the latest runs by an hour or two, but ultimately this is all going to wind down as we move into tonight and into Saturday. Wind and tides are still going to be a problem. The strongest winds are coming now through the very first part of tonight, and then we're going to start to see those winds very, very slowly slacken off during the overnight, but it's still going to be very windy through much of the night. I'm going to now switch over to the other side. We're going to talk about, if I can bring up the right image here, I want to get the date correct. Hang on just a moment here. And we're going to talk about Storm Emma. And we get the latest satellite picture up for you. And we do have it here, which is awesome. You can see the high cloud, the cloud tops, very impressive across southern England and on up over into Ireland. The bright white, the radars are still showing snows falling in these areas here. I'm going to just off camera. I'm just going to pick up a couple of observations. Let's see. London right now is 31 with snow. Dublin is 32 with snow showers there, 25-mile-an-hour winds. Shannon weather in Shannon, 34 with just mostly cloudy skies there. Okay. Glasgow in the UK is cloudy and 34. The further north you go, there is much less going on in terms of actual weather. But the storm itself, we'll bring the GFS back up, and let me just give me 1 second here, folks, as I maneuver, and we'll bring up the GFS to show you. You folks in the UK and in Ireland still have a little bit more to go with this, but we're starting to see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel here. If you look closely, right on the western edge of the English Channel is a very small, wrapped up, tight little low, and you've got this east-west band of snow across southern England and covering most of Ireland. That's going to continue into tonight, and then we start to see the precipitation begin to weaken a little bit, and then it warms up enough so that it's mostly rain. So that would be good news. Is the the block shifting away from Greenland and into the eastern part of Canada is going to at least get you out of that Siberian flow. There's the snowfall map through Monday afternoon, and much of this, of course, is front end loaded. So this is additional snows on what's already fallen. So in some cases, in the brighter purples here, you're talking maybe another 12 centimeters. But for most of the area, from here going forward, snows, if they haven't started lightening up, will do so in short order during the next 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours or so. And back in the U.S., I want to just show you really fast, the pattern remains extremely active going forward with this. Even though the upper high weakens, the basic signature of the pattern is a negative North Atlantic oscillation. So that is going to keep the jet stream suppressed well to the south. You can see where the upper lows are out in the Pacific. Another one coming into the plains. And then you have this strong system that's anchored southeast of Newfoundland that reflects the storm that we're going through at the moment. You can see the next system tries to go out across New England. Nothing is exact in weather, but things do have a tendency to rhyme. So come the middle of next week, don't be surprised if we're talking about another system that we're going to have to deal with. And overall, as I look at the pattern going forward, it does change somewhat, but you still have this basic negative NAO signature that weather systems are going to continue to move. The jet stream still continues to be south of normal. You still have higher than normal pressures and heights back up to the north in Canada. So we do have this it's not quite a blocking pattern, but it is a negative NAO signature, and that is going to mean for interesting times ahead. Wouldn't be surprised to see another event or two out of all this that we've been dealing with. Okay, I've been lately, here we go. Just want to make sure I don't lose myself. I'm going to come back up to you guys live and just get through some of your comments here. Got to learn how to maneuver this faster sometimes. Raymond, how much snow do you have up where you are in Albany? Because I've seen some reports of up to 10 inches or so in some places. Okay, let me just. There we go. I'm just trying to scroll back on the comments here. Big hellos to Tiffany Campana, Jason Schaefer, Dio, Nan Kumar, Super Syed. Haven't seen you in a while. James NASCAR fan, Corey Badziak. Corey, I don't know what can you give me an idea of what's going on in your area in South Jersey? I really would appreciate it. A couple of inches of slush in central Nassau and washing away. As you lose that intensity, Jason, yeah, that's what happens. You had the dynamic cooling. And the NAM model, again, just to reiterate, it did an exceptional job here in showing it. It showed the secondary low taking over faster. The global models were just awful. This is the second time in the last couple of weeks where the GFS had rain basically all the way up into the middle Hudson Valley, at least, almost to I-90. And that just turned out to be so incredibly wrong. And even the European didn't do much better either. It just didn't catch what was happening here. You got a lot of tidal flooding going on too. Hi, Stephen Franco, 99 Wolves. Yeah, we do. The tides that came in this morning were they were particularly high. That full moon is really adding a big negative to the equation with regards to coastal flooding. And tonight's high tides, I think, are going to be at least as bad, or if not worse. Do you have to go on?
I do.
Okay. All right, folks. I got to cut it short here. We'll live stream again later tonight. Check out latest Facebook posts on Facebook meteorologist Joe Cioffi, and on my website, meteorologistjoecioffi.com. All right. And to my friends in the UK who are watching, the snow. One good thing about snow, in case you've forgotten, it does melt. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you a little bit later this evening.